USA Network presents the Professional Bowlers Tour. And tonight, it's the $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge. And these are the 5 finalists. In 5th place, Steve Wunderlich. He's appearing on USA for the 2nd time and still looking for his first PBA title. The 4th place finisher is from Garden Grove, California. It's the first time on USA for 22-year-old Mark Baker. Qualifying 3rd is Sam Zurich, who last week won his first PBA singles title in Buffalo. In 2nd place is another one of the 4 hopeful bowlers looking for PBA title number 1, John Forst. And the man they'll be shooting at, bowling 1 game for $15,000. He's bowled 300 games righty and lefty, Dennis Jacques. The $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge on USA is brought to you in part by Miller High Life, the best beer for the best time of the day. Welcome to Miller Time. By Mobile Detergent Gasoline for your everyday driving needs. By Levi's jeans, cords, and shirts for quality and style you can count on. And by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge. Well, last week in Buffalo, all 5 TV finalists had won PBA titles, and a lot of them. This week, it's a greatly different story with only 1 of the bowlers having won a PBA title before. That's Sam Zurich. The other 4 have not. I'm Al Troutwig, along with Mike Durbin, welcoming you to the $110,000 Molson Challenge. And Mike, while you and I both know this is the Professional Bowlers Tour, this week it could be known as the Younger Bowlers Tour.
Well, right, Alan, it certainly could. It's not just the Younger Bowlers Tour, it's the big Younger Bowlers Tour. We have the average age on the show is only 23 years old. We have Dennis Jacques, who's 6'3" and 240. We have Mark Baker, who's 6'3" and 210. These guys throw the power ball. They're very strong, and they're the up-and-comers. They're the young lions on the PBA Tour today.
Strong, tall, big throwers. That's epitomized by Dennis Jacques, who sits in the top spot, bowling 1 game for $15,000. Mike, what about his style?
Dennis Jacques is another. He throws the big hook. Like I say, he weighs almost 240. He did the unusual task last year of bowling a 300 game in the Denver Open right-handed. Then about 6 weeks later in a league, he bowled 300 left-handed. So the man has obviously a lot of talent. It's just waiting to blossom. This is only his 2nd time in our TV finals and his 1st time ever bowling to win a title. So we'll see how he holds up under the pressure.
Well, the size and power doesn't stop there. A former All-American high school basketball player, Mark Baker, is another one we want to keep an eye on tonight. How about him?
Mark Baker, I think, is one of the rising young stars on the PBA Tour today. He was an all-CIF in California basketball player. He has a lot of talent in a lot of sports. He's out here on the Pro Bowlers Tour right now. He's made 10 finals this year. That's the top 24 he's made 10 times. This is his 2nd time in the TV format. I think it's only a question of time before Mark Baker starts winning a lot of PBA titles.
We had a lot of excitement on the PBA Tour over the past few weeks, thanks in part to Marshall Holman, who won 2 PBA titles in a row and then went for his 3rd. Well, Sam Zurich shows us again that winning 1 title can lead to possibly and hopefully another for him. He won last week in Buffalo and is in the TV finals again this week.
And Sam showed tremendous courage last week when he made that big move to move from the 2nd arrow out to the 3rd arrow. He's a very smooth player, gets strong finger lift on the ball. He's another one of the players, like all 5 on the TV finals today, that throw that strong, powerful ball. It's a question whether they can get that big hook in the 1-3 pocket today. Sam could be like Marshall Holman. If he wins today, then he goes on like so many others to try and win 3 in a row. So,
Mike, why the young, big bowlers? Why the high scores this week?
Well, this particular bowling center, the fellow who threw the big hook could throw it to the right and get it back. He didn't just have to, if he was, say, aiming at board 15, he didn't just have to hit board 15. He could throw it to board 14 and 13, and the ball would come hooking back into the pocket. And these guys throw this big, powerful ball. When they can get that big, powerful ball into the 1-3 pocket, they get a lot of strikes. And when you get a lot of strikes, you get high scores.
Okay, so now we're going to stop and chat with one of the important bowlers in tonight's $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge. Here's last week's champion, Sam Zurich. Sam, we ran out of time last week. Didn't get a chance to talk to you. It was your first singles title. How did it feel?
Well, the feeling was tremendous, Al. I'm still up in the clouds from that experience, and I'm just looking to go a little bit higher up into the clouds after this week here.
Now, from what I've been able to gather from the bowlers, the conditions last week compared to this week were vastly different. That tells me that you've been able to adjust your game very well.
Well, the conditions are different everywhere we go, and I try to keep quite an open mind so that I can adapt to the different conditions, which I feel is a true player out here on the tour.
Sam, if you win tonight, you know what next week in Waukegan means, don't you? Is that what you're thinking about at all?
Well, it's entering my mind vaguely, but right now I'm concentrating and trying to work real hard on this title first.
What we're talking about is that elusive hat trick, as Marshall Holman went for that just last week, as a matter of fact. Did you feel anything in your mind watching Marshall go for it and fall short?
Not really. It hasn't entered my mind until this week, approximately, but like I say, I still not thinking about it too much. I want to secure the second one before I really start to get down on that.
Just a few moments ago, Sam Zurich looked down at the very unusual soapstone trophy that they'll award to the champion here and said, boy, I'd really like to have that. Now, what about John Forst and Steve Wunderlich, the other two bowlers in the TV finals?
Well, we saw Steve Wunderlich just 2 weeks ago as he shot like 747 for the 3 games that he was on television then, so we know the lights don't scare him. He throws another one of those powerful balls. John Forst, another big young player, throws a very strong ball. He made the championship format at the World Open last year that Steve Fair won, and he bowled very well then. So it should be an exciting show, Alan. There should be a lot of strikes, high scores, and the folks will see that big, big hook.
6 300 games this week, youth, power, size, and hopefully high scores on the TV show tonight. We welcome you to the Windsor Molson Bowling Challenge for $15,000, the top prize. And we'll get to bowling right after these messages, coast to coast.
Working around here, a guy gets very wet on the outside and very dry on the inside.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. Whoa, welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Welcome, well you know you're welcome. Welcome, everybody's welcome. Welcome to Miller Time, yours and mine.
When you're taking a trip for business or pleasure, it's nice to know the best places to stay and eat along the way. The Mobile Travel Guide comes in 7 regional editions. It quality rates hotels, motels, and restaurants from 1 to 5 stars. You get easy-to-follow maps and coupons worth up to 50% off on attractions and places to stay. The Mobile Travel Guide. It'll make your trip 5-star all the way.
In our world of endless imagination, anything can happen. And those of you who wear Levi's jeans know what I'm talking about. Because anywhere our minds can go, we can follow too. Go ahead, chase a dream in Levi's jeans.
It's another full house on the PBA Tour, this time at the Rose Bowl Lanes in Windsor, Ontario. And in Game 1, 25-year-old Steve Wunderlich from St. Louis, Missouri, to the left of your screen, faces off against 22-year-old Mark Baker from Lake Tahoe, Nevada. Remember, the average age here of the top 5 bowlers, only 23. It's a week for the young bowlers, and it's a week for some different styles, shall we say, Mike Durbin?
Well, the contemporary style, Alan. Mark Baker is typical of. He's big, strong, and throws the big hook. The ball go across the arrows about the 10th board and go out. That one to the 2nd board and got it back.
Well, right off the bat, we're seeing how some of these bowlers will flirt with danger.
Mark Baker is a very strong and very muscled swing here all the way through. Good slide. Watch him pull that ball through with strong fingers and lift. Wonderlick does much the same thing. And what a bad break he gets to start the match out. When you're coming in from that vicious angle from the outside, many times that 5 will slide right behind the 7, and you leave the 10 along with it. You've got what we call a swishing 7-10. And there's just not a thing you can do except fire at one of them and hope they bounce around. I've been bowling 30 years and made one of these, Alan, so He takes a different ball, shoots at 7 pin. He's 9 out, 11 pins behind right away.
We do not have to point out how difficult it will be to come back after that. We'll see what Steve Wunderlich's got. He is a very streaky bowler. When he is good, he is great.
Well, we saw him in Sarasota or in Venice a couple weeks ago, and he threw a lot of strikes there, so he's certainly capable. The left lane here hooks a little bit more, lane 41. Out to about the 5th board, breaks it in there solid. Not quite as much hook as Baker.
Nice to see him hop right back on the horse. Let's take a look at the approach of Steve Wunderlich.
Steve has a very good game. Very square approach, good swing. See the left arm out for balance. Watch the follow through. Snaps right straight through.
Back live. Baker in the second.
Gets a 10 out.
Well, Mike, it looks like the ball's heading for the next lane. And it makes a left turn and goes right in the pocket.
That's a very apt description. It does. It looks kind of like it's headed for lane 43.
Both of these bowlers looking for their very first PBA title.
Bart Baker looks to me like a can't-miss prospect on the PBA tour. He's only 22 years old, yet he seems to have the poise of someone much older. He's got the ball, the right ball for today's conditions.
Something wasn't right.
Well, he did the right thing there. He backed off, and he's going to set himself up again. He's up by 21 pins, can increase it to 31 with another strike. Muscles it out there. Out to about the 4th board, and he just didn't get the lift on it that time. He looks at his hands, and he's got the 1-2-4-10, the washout, which was our tip of last week. At this point here, he comes in, he muscles it through. He just doesn't get the lift. The ball just kind of fell off his hand and doesn't make the move back.
Now, the lanes here at Rose Bowl are a lot different than they were last year. They were completely stripped and refinished, and what happens is I believe the ball is gripping just before it gets to the pins and really settling in.
And 8 out, and he puts Wonderlick right back in the match.
Good news for Steve Wunderlich.
Very good news. He's only down 3 pins. Sitting on the bench like that can take the lead with a double here.
Steve has earned just a little over $29,000 this year. He's been a PBA member for 4 years.
Now notice where he's standing back here. He's standing actually to the left side of the approach, left of center, and will swing that ball all the way out close to the first arrow. He gets out there past the first arrow, break point down the lane, and comes back. These players do that with the lift and turn that they have on their fingers and their wrists. See, he's left of center now. Sets the ball down about the 12th board. It goes all the way out maybe to the 3rd or 4th and makes that left-hand turn. Wham.
And Mike, how about if he didn't have the calm to come back and strike after that open frame in the 1st? All of a sudden he's back in it because Baker left an open frame in the 3rd.
All of a sudden he's 7 pins ahead, can increase it to 17. We've seen how things can turn around so quickly on the PBA tour. Gives it that big room again. Here it comes. And doesn't get the 10 pin out. Hit just behind the pocket. And you see him turn his hand a little bit as he comes back, indicating he didn't quite get the lift that he wanted to get on that ball. Not quite as clean a release. Pulls another ball out to shoot the 10 pin. He'll go cross lane and cut down on the hook on this. Cross lane at the 10 pin. Has it easily. Nice shot. Well, Mark got off to such a good start, and sometimes a lapse in concentration that he had there in the 3rd frame can rattle you. He's only 22. I know how young and immature I was at 22.
Former high school All-American basketball player.
Gives it a lot of room this time. Here it comes. Doesn't make it, and there's what we call the PBA washout. It's the 2-4-8-10. It's the big danger of throwing that big hook. You get it just a little bit too wide, and the ball comes in late and leaves the 2-4-8-10. You didn't see this leave until the last 4 or 5 years in bowling, in any kind of bowling at all, and now it is entirely frequent. And the reason is for the harder finishes, the different finishes on the bowling balls, and gives it a chance, but 8 out to cause these violent reactions at the back end of a bowling lane.
Boy, what a turnaround.
He's down 18 pins, and suddenly he seems where he was throwing nothing but strikes in the practice balls.
Here we spell it out for you.
60 in the fourth frame with 2 opens in a row. Wonderlick 58 in the third with the spare up. We're certainly not seeing the scoring that we anticipated seeing. A little better shot that time. More relaxed. The ball waltzed right back.
Well, we're at the midpoint of game 1. Mark Baker and Steve Wunderlich at the $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge. And frustration right now for Mark Baker. We'll be back.
Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge with Chevy S10 Maxi Cab. There's never been an extended cab pickup like it before. You can't even get one in a Ford Ranger or Toyota. Taking charge of people space, Maxi Cab with available rear jump seats has behind-the-seat room Datsun King Cab can't match. Taking charge with up to 40% more cab load space than Datsun King Cab. Now choose 10.9% financing or $300 cash back on new 83 S10 pickups and Maxi Cabs. Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge.
In the beginning, man's feet walked free, but the road to civilization was paved, so man developed shoes. Soon after that, man developed athlete's foot.
Egad.
Now at last there's Mycotin. Mycotin cures athlete's foot. It's the only athlete's foot medicine you can buy with Myconazole, an ingredient available for the first time without a doctor's prescription. Mycotin in spray, powder, or cream. Mycotin, the end of the road for athlete's foot.
The dogfight continues in the American League East on the next edition of USA's Thursday Night Baseball. Willie Upshaw, Lloyd Mosby, and the rags-to-riches Toronto Blue Jays look to hang in tough against hard-hitting Eddie Murray and the high-flying Baltimore Orioles. Make a big hit with Thursday Night Baseball. Toronto and Baltimore live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on USA. May not be seen in some areas.
This will be a rugby play. There's Rogers on the outside. Pitch it back to Garner. And Garner's got no place to go and no one to pitch it to. And he's still on his feet. The game's not over yet. And here's another man. Flag is down. A flag is down. As Kevin Boone takes it into the end zone. It is a touchdown for California. It is a touchdown. How do you like it?
Catch the spirit of college football 83 on USA, premiering September 4th.
There's a member of Forst I played with today, the Tournament of Champions winner this year, Joe Berardi. Just missed here this week. You should see him hit a golf ball. He can really hit it. Although he had a bad day today.
If he plays golf as well as he talks about playing golf, then he's in great shape.
He certainly is enthusiastic.
Here's Wonderlick, Steve Wunderlich, up by 18 pins.
Steve finished third in the Greater Hartford Open this year, where he defeated yours truly on television. Perfect shot there. Pretty ball.
And he's settling in quite nicely, Mike.
Well, he's had every ball in the pocket. 7-10 and a 10-pinner. He could have all 5 in a row. Where Baker got lost there for 2 frames. Steve wipes that oil off the ball. And there we see the story. 60 with a strike up in the 5th to 78. The difference, 18 pins, both bowlers working on strikes. Left lane hooks just a little bit more than the right lane. Needs a little more speed here. Looks good. Oh, solid 10. Bad break. He certainly hasn't had any good breaks yet in the match.
You just walk away shaking your head.
But what it does is it keeps Mark Baker right in the match. In fact, if Mark Baker walks up and throws strikes his 2 times to bowl, he can go ahead in the match. So we could have an interesting match here yet. Switches balls again, breaks his wrist. Doesn't throw that big hook at the spare, or as big a hook. Still looks big to me. But you see how much straighter it goes at the spare? Yeah. That's what some of these young players are learning now. These power players have that great big strike ball, and they're learning how to flatten it out at spares and learning how to make a lot more spares, and they get all those strikes.
Now, Mike, their style is vastly different from yours, much more of a straight ball. Could you adjust and play like they do if you wanted to here?
No, I can't imitate their style. No, he set that one short. Gets him. Wowee. What a break there. It cuts an 18-pin lead to 8. But Mark was throwing nothing but strikes in practice. In fact, Harry Golden, our tournament director, has a little spiel. He goes through the audience and he wants them to cheer on strikes and ooh and all when they leave spares. And he couldn't get anybody to ooh and all because nobody would miss striking.
He kept saying he wanted to miss that, and he still struck.
What Mark needs to do is just settle down here and give the ball a little more room. And he gave that one room. And didn't get the 7-pin out. Almost got back. But it keeps it within. He's got 89 in the 5th. He makes this, he'll have 109 with a spare up. The difference is only 9 pins. Again, it's not the big scores that we were expecting, but it's a tight match.
It's funny, when he hit that Brooklyn strike, I looked over at Joe Berardi, who's from Brooklyn, and he said to me, he stole my shot.
Well, Joe's been known to get a few of those sometimes on television. And is he going to, yeah. Wondered if it was going to hook there.
Well, you never know what to expect with the balls that these bowlers are throwing. 9-pin lead for Steve Wunderlich in the 7th frame now.
But the difference right now between the two players is Baker is right now all over the lane, and Wonderlick's got every ball in the pocket. It seems like it's only a matter of time before he starts striking or stringing it anyway. Very straight swing. Good loft. Here it comes. Light. Another 10-pin. My goodness gracious.
Mike, I saw them leaving a lot of 10 pins in practice.
Well, when you throw that big hook and it comes in so hard behind the head pin and it hits those pins with so much power, those pins are no match for it. That 6-pin can fly right around that 10 quite a few times in a row.
Do bowlers with these big hooks tend to be more erratic than more traditional bowlers?
Well, it depends by what you mean by erratic, but they cover more boards, so they are slightly more erratic, I would think so.
I guess what I'm saying is when they get lost, do they really get lost?
Sometimes. Experience starts to help that. The more they're out here, there we see the difference. 109, a spare up, to 117. Difference is 8 pins with 3 frames to go as Steve Wunderlich asked for a re-rack on this left lane, lane 41. He still doesn't like this rack as he shakes his head at it. You start getting paranoid. You leave a couple solid 10s, you begin to look at that rack, and you can see a solid 10 even on a good rack. Light, and there it is again. He breaks the 2-pin out and leaves the 8-10.
So what you're seeing is a solid 10 instead of seeing all the pins falling down. In your mind.
In your mind, right. And on that particular shot, I think what he tried to do was to get the ball up so solid in the pocket that it would strike, and he didn't throw the ball quite as well. First ball out of the pocket, he leaves the 8-10. Now he's looking at the score to figure out whether he should try and make sure that he gets 9 out. Really, the only way you can make the 8-10 is if you get a break and it bounces out. He is trying to bounce it out. Ooh, he almost did it. It bounced around back there. And Baker takes the lead sitting on the bench. He's ahead by 5 pins going to the 8th frame.
And now instead of watching himself get a lead, he can help increase his lead.
5-step player, muscled swing. Gives this one more room. Here comes Light. And it gets it up. Didn't know whether that was going to get up to strike or leave another 2-8-10, but it got up there.
And for Mark Baker, only his 2nd time on television. Let's look at this last shot.
He muscles that ball through. It gets out to about the 3rd or 4th board there. Watch the head pin go to the wall and just clean everything out. This is the most important shot of the match right now for Mark Baker. He can increase his lead to 15 and really put the pressure on. Well, look what he did. Great shot there.
There's the pressure. A 15-pin lead.
The reason I hesitated there was he stepped right in front of me and I couldn't see whether he got a strike or not. His best shot of the match right here. See how far that ball gets out. Only about the 5th board that time. Whack. The pins just kind of fell, just laid over. Wonderlick is in a must-strike situation now. Down 15 pins. His best potential is 204. Looks good. Perfect shot. Steve picked the finish on this left lane and has only struck on it once.
Here's the situation as we move to the 10th frame. 15-pin lead.
Take that back. Mark Baker had the choice of lanes to finish on, so he picked the finish on the right lane because this left lane seems to hook just a little earlier. 15 pins. Steve can cut it to 5 if he can get this first one in the 10th. Here it comes. Looks good. And gets the 10 out this time. Boy, it looked like almost another weak 10 pin, and the 6th and the 10th fell in a funny fashion.
Well, Mikey needed a break.
See his style. Good style under pressure. Gives it a lot of room. Now, it'll come in light, and the ball will deflect. And the 6 and the 10, it looked like the 9 pin hit the 10 pin. And the 6 barely fell. He can take the lead with a strike here. Looks good. No, it's good. 2, 8, 10 again. That difference of that ball striking and not striking was at a certain point down the lane, about 35 feet, 40 feet. The ball skidded another 2 feet and then broke late. If he gets 9 out, he finishes with 190, which will force Mark Baker to mark. And he does. He finishes with 190 even. Right now, Mark Baker is going at a 199 pace. He needs any kind of spare or strike. Count really is unimportant. Very little time. We're sitting right behind him. Gives it a lot of room. Is it going to make it? And it does. Well, amazing. That match just flip-flop back and forth between the different players. Right now he needs 2 pins to be a winner.
And that would make Steve Wunderlich 0 for 3.
Still looking for that first title. And he said this was short. He got his 2 pins, but nothing.
That's okay.
Still
He's a
seems
winner.
kind of lost on the pair. He makes the baby split, leads the 310. He'll finish with 207 and a 17-pin victory. But you see evidence of that erraticness that you were talking about. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strikes and 2 splits in the washout by Baker in a victory.
Strange but true as we continue with the $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge. Mark Baker eliminates Steve Wunderlich 206 to 190. Coming up, Game 2 in our coverage of the PBA on USA. We'll be right back.
The 80s, the decade of physical fitness, and suddenly sore muscle relief enters a new era with Sports Cream, a different kind of pain-relieving rub. Unlike other rubs, Sports Cream doesn't feel hot going on because it penetrates for deep relief without heat. Unlike other rubs, Sports Cream smells light and clean because it doesn't need strong liniment odor to work. Sports Cream, fast, effective relief for sore muscles without heat or odor. It's the pain reliever of the 80s.
Olympic Stain. We've got the inside on outside protection. Inside every can of Olympic Stain is linseed oil that penetrates inside wood to give strong protection outside. Inside every can is the experience of over half a century. That's why Olympic protects the outside of more homes than any other stain. Olympic Stain. We've got the inside on outside protection.
It's a USA movie triple treat. Starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday, it's Joan Bennett and George Brent in the classic comedy Twin Beds. Then a clean-cut soldier meets a radical college student in a cross-country battle of wills and wit. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Young star in Red Salute. And at 2 p.m. Eastern, you'll die laughing with Leo McKern as a jolly bad fellow. Don't miss the USA movie triple feature, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday. It's a special night on the USA Network Monday. Starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, Stuart Whitman and Oliver Reed star in the action-adventure Ransom on the USA Movie. Next, it's shades of that classy British dude, Ian Hunter, in concert, starting at 10 p.m. Eastern. Then watch out while Ed Asner learns a harrowing lesson in parenting on the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. All coming up only on the USA Network, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, Monday.
Having eliminated Steve Wunderlich. 22-year-old Mark Baker moves into Game 2 in his quest to become a champion for the very first time. Sam Zurich will go up against him in Game 2. He, at age 26, is the oldest member of the 5 finalists that we're seeing here in Windsor, Ontario. And that is hard to believe, Mike, that 26 is the oldest bowler that we're seeing.
Right, he's the old-timer here, the old man of the group. I've been in that situation a lot of times. It's amazing that 26-year-old is the old man of the group here.
The senior citizen, we're watching Sam Zurich at age 26 from Huntington, New York. Last week in Buffalo won his first singles title, having already notched a PBA doubles title. That was special for him. Here, he probably has the least dramatic of the balls that the bowlers are throwing. But certainly a dramatic bowler is Mark Baker from Lake Tahoe, Nevada and Garden Grove, California. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to him on the approach here at Rose Bowl Lanes. Mark Baker is only 22 years old. He was in the 4th spot coming into the TV finals here. Mark, that's very, very young for the Professional Bowlers Tour. Do you feel that you're bowling older than you really are?
Yeah, you come out on tour for a year or two, and either you learn a lot or you go home. So I think it's experience. 1 year out here is worth 5 years in age.
In doing a little scouting, there are many people who follow the tour quite closely who feel that you have a great deal of potential, not only because of your size, but your demeanor and your skill. How does that affect you?
It's nice to have people have confidence in you. That gives you a little self-confidence yourself. I just try to do as best I can.
Now, you're involved in the business side of bowling as well. Tell me a little about that.
I just opened a pro shop in Lake Tahoe. Everything's going great, and hope to sell some more bowling balls.
How often do you get to go back there?
Every break I go back for a week or two and see everybody I know there. My coach lives there, Bill Julian, and I practice there and get everything together.
Now, you have the size, and you were a successful basketball player, an All-American in high school. What's the difference between the parts of your body that you need in bowling and basketball?
Basketball was all instinct. I never thought about anything. I just did it. Bowling's all mental. There's a big controversy about athletes. I think that bowling has one of the more mental athletes there is. Every other sport, you just do it. There's no time to react. Here you have all the time between shots. That's the big difference for me.
I spoke to Dennis Jacques about the fact that in bowling, it doesn't make a difference what size you are, how old you are, or how fast you throw the ball. Everyone can compete on the same level. It's very unique in that regard.
It is. It's just week to week, who's on, who's not. It's just a real mental game. Size doesn't play that big a difference.
In light of what has happened this week for you in Windsor, what do you need to happen for you to win tonight?
Be confident, get a few breaks, and get loose early, and hope it comes back when I throw it out.
Well, he's confident. He's gotten a few breaks, and the ball's come back for him. But, Mike, there's one thing I want to bring out here. He said 1 year on the tour is worth 5 years in age. Well, partner, 17 years on the tour plus 42 years. That makes Mike Durbin 127, Mike. You're hanging in there pretty good for someone that old.
Well, I feel like it right now, Alan, so notice this outfit that Sam has on with a pink shirt, the check pants, and a pink belt. You notice that pink belt?
He's a colorful Long Islander.
Hey, Cuppy Troop won last year wearing something like that. And Sam starts right out. Interestingly enough, Alan, in practice, Sam Zurich was the only one not striking. Again, very classic style. 5 short steps, 3 swing, right in time, follow through, straight through. Pretty game. Baker's high, short again. Just not giving the ball room on that right lane, leaves a 3-6-10.
Mark defeated Steve Wunderlich 206 to 190 to move into Game 2.
Now the lanes are really hooking back, and what Mark Baker is doing is he's playing that hook area of the lane. He's trying to get the ball at his break point down the lane out to about the 4th or 5th board. Sam Zurich, on the other hand, though, is playing the ball much straighter, in closer to the 3rd arrow. Baker needs to straighten it out at this 3-6-10, and he does. Very nice conversion. He said something to Joe Berardi coming back, and Joe laughed. I don't know what he said. He cut down the hook. He cut down the hook at that 3-6-10. I don't know whether he took a finger out or not. Some of the players use only 2 fingers shooting at spares.
Not one left-hander made it to the final 24 here in Windsor.
No, they had a little trouble this week. The left lane gives it room. Here it comes. Perfect. Birdie shot. Seems like he's got the left lane figured out. He's having trouble with this right lane. And again, he gets to finish on the left lane, though. There we have it. That power, Watch how far out the ball goes. About the 5th board. Now watch the pins just lay over. Wham!
Back to Sam Zurich. Been to the winner's circle twice. Once in singles, once in doubles.
Sam's using a urethane bowling ball here, very similar to the one he used last week. I don't know if it's the same ball or not. It's the same make. Right over the 3rd arrow. Here it comes. Oh, hooked a little early. And he looks at his hand. I noticed he was talking earlier that he just wasn't getting out of the thumb as clean as he wanted to. In this one, he seemed to lose. And the ball breaks right now. And like we saw Mark Baker, leaves a 3-6-10 on lane 42. See if he can convert it. Right over the middle arrow. And just gets back. Woo! Looked like it was going to slide by, didn't it?
I thought so, too.
So we've got an even match. The only difference is Baker working on a strike right now. And again, we're not seeing the scoring that we anticipated seeing.
Well, you and I were talking about the possibility of seeing a 300. We said if we're ever going to see one, this is when we're going to see it.
Well, watching them practice, but sometimes, you know, you can throw those strikes in practice. There we see the score, 20 apiece. And when they turn the lights on, it's a little bit different situation. I know it turns me into a schizophrenic immediately.
I'll vouch for that.
This time, not the 3-6-10. The 6-pin falls out, and he has the more difficult baby split, the 3 and 10. What he wants to do is move left on the approach, hit the 3-pin on the right, and have it bounce off. As we see him set this ball short, he's playing much further inside, just never got the ball out to target. The odds are about 2-1 for a pro to make this. He uses another ball that goes straighter here at this spare. And slides by. Didn't get it. And Baker's getting those breaks that he was talking about. His opponent opened again.
Well, having seen how many open frames were left in game 1, Sam shouldn't let himself mentally out of this match yet.
Well, no, it turned around many, many times in game 1. And we had, according to our statistician this week, Mark Williams, we have 4 opens in that first match.
Mark the Beaumont Blaster Williams.
Baker trying to hit this right lane. Gives, oh, it's going in. He gave it more room. I was just going to say, he needed to give it more room, and he did. He drifts left around the approach, and
well, this is the gamble you take.
That's it. But see, it goes in at about 45 feet down there, right in the channel. Now, he loses nothing. If he can knock them all down on the second ball, he strikes. In 1976, Paul Caldwell won the PBA National and did that exact same thing. He needed a strike to win and threw it in the channel, made the spare, and went on to win the tournament. Is it coming? He got the spare. You see
what
that?
A comeback. Beautifully done by Mark Baker.
It's amazing. Guys over the years that have thrown balls in the channel have come back to win those matches. He gives it room again. Only difference is this one starts biting.
And still, he's only, what, 3-4 boards maybe away from?
Right, from another one, from double gutter ball.
Now Baker up by 13 pins.
One time in the early 70s, right around 1970, in Cranston, Rhode Island, I made the top 24 there and threw 9 gutter balls in 18 games. Here it comes, light, 2-8-10. No, he gets the 10-pin out of there and leaves only the 2-4.
Big break there.
And right now, Mark is just struggling. The ball's either going too long for him or it's hooking too soon for him.
What kind of temperament did that create? 18 channel balls.
No, it was only 9.
Oh, 9, I'm sorry.
It was only
in
9.
18 games.
Well, I made 7 of them in the spares, so it wasn't too bad. At the 2-4, should have converted these. Ooh, and what am I saying? The ball slides by for him, and he misses the spare and puts Sam Zurich ahead, in fact, even in the match. And we were talking about these big hook ball bowlers sometimes being erratic. Well, you're getting a good view of it now, of what can happen when that ball doesn't strike. Zurich with newfound life in around the 3rd arrow. Gives this one more room. Here it comes. Gets that 10-pin out of there. Much more conventional line that Sam's playing. His ball is going over the 3rd arrow, only out to about the 12th or 11th board and coming back.
Zurich winning last week in Cheektowaga, New York at the 1983 Buffalo Open.
Went high in this lane, the left. I There we see it. Zurich with 47. If he would spare in the fifth frame, it would be 67 for both of them in the fourth frame. A double here, and he can take the lead by 10 pins. Right there, and gets the light hit. And Sam's beginning to think about 2 in a row.
Well, Sam Zurich splatters him in the fifth frame, and he leads by 10 pins as we're at the midway point of Game 2 in our coverage of the PBA from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. We'll be back.
For 8 hours a day, we're doing what we like doing. Can't beat that.
Wanna bet?
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. So welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Beige, quarter, Lima. Green, quarter, Lima. Blue, quarter, Lima. Tan, quarter, Lima. Wine, Lima. Gray, brown, cream, quarter, quarter, quarter.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Chord, 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 chord.
We are USA 1. Taking charge by unleashing a Chevrolet the competition can't touch. Camaro. Flat outselling every other 2+2 sports coupe on the road today. And now Camaro is led by a new standard 5-speed 5-liter Z28. The hot-selling Chevy Camaro. It still leaves everything but its shadow behind. USA 1 is taking charge.
Scraping, sanding, wire brushing. It's the part people hate most about painting. But now, there's Quick Prep, a unique new wet method for surface prep that cuts drag as it cools the surface and does more work faster. From blistered paint to rusted metal, Quick Prep cuts the work you hate the most in half. So part of the time you used to spend starting the job, you can spend finishing it.
Quick Prep, available at Sears retail stores.
Interestingly enough, we are north of the border in Canada, but we are actually south of the city of Detroit in Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Mark Baker. His hobbies quite wholesome: basketball, reading, girls.
In that order. Short again. 369. He just is lost on this right lane. When he gets it room, it goes in the channel. When he does it, it hooks high.
He's just shaking his head.
Well, I really think that he needs to think at this time about moving further inside and getting in between the second and third arrow rather than staying out trying to swing that ball out to about the fourth or fifth board. He's got a very difficult spare here in the 369. He missed the 2-4 one frame ago. And makes a more difficult spare. He missed the easier one and makes that one.
Mike, the move you're suggesting that he makes, how difficult is that in comparison to the move that Sam Zurich made last week?
Well, it all depends on how you're evaluating it. Sam, in that particular situation, it was a very difficult move to make because the match was so tight. This match is still close. Maybe he thinks that he's not executing properly. I don't know what's going on in his mind.
Now, what is it that Sam did? He moved from
the third arrow out to the second arrow. What I think Mark should do is move further inside with that big hook of his.
Down by 10.
But he swung it out again, and again the 2-10. See, the ball is just not going to. What happens sometimes is the dressing that they put on the lanes gets carried down the lane.
By the balls.
By the balls going down. As we see the ball just not making it back, Alan. Right here, it won't make it back. And that extra dressing getting carried down the lane by the bowling balls throws us a curve, so to speak, and affects our adjustments. And right now, Mark just can't figure out what to do. But he might get a more conventional line to the pocket if he moved further inside. And almost made it. He thought he had it. That ball just turned left right at the last second, and he's in big trouble right now.
He walked away holding his thumb and forefinger about a half an inch apart, and that's about
the difference. Baker playing with a pinched nerve in his thumb that might be giving him some
Well,
problems.
that explains why he's been so. If that thumb pinches, I know that when at times when I've, as you said, tried to imitate these guys and throw that ball, I get pinched nerves in my thumb or in my wrist, and so I don't try and throw the ball that way. It's just a shooting pain that goes right up for your thumb into your wrist.
24-pin lead for Shortcut Sam.
He's right there again and gets that 10-pin out of there.
Now, I don't know why they call him Shortcut Sam.
I don't
because
either.
He's taken the long route the last 2 weeks.
Very pretty shot here, right over the third arrow, out to about the 11th board. Watch the 6 get that 10. Just nudged it out of there. And he's taken a commanded 34-pin lead. So we see that Mark Baker's going at a 173 pace, while Sam Zurich has 77 in the fourth with a triple working. Going for 4 in a row. Coming in light. Ooh, leaves the 2-4-5-8-7, the half.
Just when you think it's over, it's not.
Right here. Just got it out a little wide, and the ball won't make it back, and he just cuts off half of them to the right. And leaves the dinner bucket with the man in motion.
Well, Sam's having a good year. He's already won as much money as he won all last year.
It's a very difficult spare, Alan. There's just a multitude of ways to miss it. You want to hit the 2-5 solid and carry him out. And he got the 7-pin off the wall. Many times when you hit it that exact way he did there, the 7-pin stands.
Is that the bowler's pessimistic stance, Mike, looking at how many ways there are to miss the spare as opposed to how many ways there are to make it?
Well, there's really basically one way to make that.
Baker needs a strike.
Although you can make it other ways, but there's one way you're aiming at making it. A little better shot that time. Pretty. Well, he's in the must-strike situation already. He is still potential. 213 if he would strike all the way out. And right now, Sam Zurich is going at a 202 pace. And we see it go out to about the 3rd or 4th board, make that left turn. Wham. 29 pins down. Can cut it to 19 if he can double. He's waving it to come up, and it just never made the move. It never turned left. Leaves the 2-4, which he missed back in the 4th frame.
Mike, that lane condition you were talking about before, the ball's carrying the oil down the lane, forcing someone like Mark to have a problem. Wouldn't that be almost an expected result after a long week of bowling?
Well, they were reconditioned before the telecast today. And it is an expected result, but sometimes adjusting to it is a lot more difficult. Right now, he's in a bad situation because the best Mark can do is 193. He has to hope that he can strike out and that Sam Zurich opens. And again, as we pointed out before, when you're in that situation, you're really in a bad way. Right over the 3rd arrow. Perfect shot. And what's so interesting is in the practice session beforehand, Sam Zurich was the one bowler not striking, having more trouble than anyone else, and now he seems to have the best shot to the pocket of the players that we've seen so far.
And when you add that all up, it's a 29-pin lead for Sam Zurich as he bowls in the 9th.
He can really put him away if he can strike here in the 9th. Just ensure himself victory. He'd have to show up for the 10th frame, but that'd be about it. Right there. Oh, pretty shot. He's throwing each ball better and better and better with more confidence.
Mike, I wonder if it's fate. Look at his name right between the TV pair on that banner. See it?
Well, see, they always put the banners up as we see this ball just go solid in the 1-3 pocket of the champions on the telecast of that day, but he's the only champion. As Mark's finishing out the string, getting maybe the 2-4-8, getting 7, and just didn't have it today. Was fortunate to win the first match, and that good fortune didn't continue on in the second. Shooting at the 2-4-8, has the spare. Best he can do is 180. And again, Sam just needs to show up for the 10th frame, stay behind the foul line.
Standing by is another 22-year-old, John Forst from LaGrange, Illinois.
Well, see, Sam's had so much more experience. That's why he's got an advantage over these guys. There he goes. He got it out a little further, and it came back harder.
You can take your tongue out of your cheek now, Mr. Durbin.
Sam looks kind of disinterested right at this point, doesn't he? He's already thinking, keep your stroke, get ready for the next match. He knows he's won this one. See, you get it out further, and it comes back harder. But he's relaxed now. There's no pressure now.
It's almost a boomerang approach with these guys.
The nickname for the guys that throw the balls like this is boom ball bowlers. It's because they throw it out in the boondocks and it comes back, see? Finishing now, strike will finish with 180. Gets 6 to 3, 6, 9, 10. Finishes with 176. And it's a good payday for Mark. He's going to win. It's only a question of time on the PBA Tour, at least in my opinion. Sam's potential is 232 if he goes all the way. Right over the third hour. A little more room this time. It doesn't make it back. Leaves the 2-8. Needs to make the spare, and he can have one more practice shot for the next match coming up. Has the 2-8. See how that ball drove through?
Yep.
Hit it light, but he had so much fingers on the ball that it still drove through and got that back pin.
And he's going to have that practice shot. He had a pro shop in Huntington, New York, where he lives, and the bowling center went out of business.
Oh, did it really?
And so that, that took away the pro shop, and he says it was a blessing in disguise and allowed him to concentrate on bowling again.
Well, that same bowling center, I think, is where my good friend Ralph Hartman did all of his instruction in Huntington there. Well, he made use of that practice shot.
He finishes with a flurry. 210, 176. Sam Zurich moves into Game 3 in the finals of the Molson Bowling Challenge. And for Mark Baker, a fourth-place finish of $5,000. We'll continue with the PBA on USA after this.
Fresh and clean as a whistle. That's Irish Spring. Fresh and clean as a whistle.
Irish Spring's green and white stripes have 2 truly effective deodorants. 2 deodorants.
And a fine, fresh scent. So you're fresh and
clean as a whistle.
That's Irish Spring deodorant soap. Gets you fresh and clean as a whistle.
In the beginning, man's feet walked free, but the road to civilization was paved, so man developed shoes. Soon after that, man developed athlete's foot. Now at last there's Mycotin. Mycotin cures athlete's foot. It's the only athlete's foot medicine you can buy with myconazole, an ingredient available for the first time without a doctor's prescription. Mycotin in spray, powder, or cream. Mycotin, the end of the road for athlete's foot.
After you win a tough race, you want to take it easy, but you don't want to slow down.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. The rich, smooth taste of Miller beer is what you have in mind. So welcome to Miller Time.
Welcome to the rich, smooth taste of Miller High Life.
Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge with Chevy S10, the hottest selling new size pickup in America with available V6 power, revolutionary Instatrack 4-wheel drive, and up to twice as much towing capacity as any import pickup. Taking charge with much better V6 mileage estimates than Ranger. S10 pickup, maxi cab, and Blazer. Now, choose 10.9% financing or $300 cash back on new 83 S10 pickups and maxi cabs. Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge.
You're watching the PBA Summer Tour on USA. We have 2 more shows upcoming, and we'll tell you about that in just a moment. But first, a little information about what happened here in Windsor, Ontario. Mark Roth, for example, finished 63rd. Guppy Troop, the defending champion, 91st. Earl Anthony, 118th. That makes 6 through 24 all the more interesting when those bowlers finished way below that.
It sure does. In 6th place, serving as our alternate today, is the Tournament of Champions winner this year, Joe Berardi. 7th place went to Mark Leo Grande. David Ozio finished 8th. Last year's U.S. Open champion Dave Houston was 9th. Pete Weber was 10th. Steve Martin finished 11th. Dale Eagle, bowling well again, finished 12th. The runner-up in Sarasota, Kent Wagner, finished 13th. Chuck Pierce bowled very well this week, finishing 14th. Brian Boss was 15th. Alan Granite broke a slump here and finished 16th. Ted Hannes continued his good bowling in 17th. Warren Nelson was 18th. Clay Sagibo from Hawaii was 19th. George Pappas, last year's president, was 20th. Storm DeVincent in the finals again, 21st. Bill Spigner back from the bowling camps finished 22nd. Mark Fahey 23rd, and Norm Duke finished 24th.
And they will make prize money checks out in the following amounts. To the first prize winner, $15,000. Second prize is good for $8,000. Third good for $6,000. Fourth is for $5,000. And fifth spot here at the $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge is good for $4,000.
And our leaders round by round. Round 1 was led by Pete Weber. David Ozio took over in rounds 2 and 3. And then our tournament leader now, Dennis Jacques, took over as soon as the final started and led in rounds 4, 5, and 6.
Now, if you've been watching our shows over the past few weeks, you've seen Mike Durbin make some pretty fancy spares. Now, I don't know what he has in line for us this week, but let's watch Mike Durbin's bowling tip on our show.
The last couple of weeks, we've looked at some of the more difficult spares that we face in the sport of bowling, namely the 2-4-5, and then last week we looked at the washout. Today, we're going to look at what many of the pros consider some of the easier spares, but they may not be easier for you. First, the 10-pin, and then the 6-pin. Now, the 10-pin is that one on the far right-hand side of the lane. You know, the one that sends shivers up and down your spine every time you leave it? But it's really not so difficult to make if you follow a few basic principles. The first of these principles is that for spares on the right side of the lane, I want to move to the left side of the approach. And conversely, for spares on the left side of the lane, I want to move to the right side of the approach. Now, I know many of you try and make the 10-pin by rolling a straight ball down the first arrow. But you really reduce your chances of making that spare by shooting it in that manner because it cuts down on your angle. You're far better off doing it the proper way. And what is the proper way? Well, again, we're going to move over here to the left side of the approach. Now, when I first am going to pick a spot out to shoot that 10-pin, it's a little bit of an educated guess and a little bit of a trial and error to see if I make it. Right now, I'm going to stand on board 37 with the inside edge of my left foot here. And I'm going to aim at the third arrow out there. Now, what I want to do is to walk right straight toward my target. I want to mentally pretend that the channel isn't even there, and I want to make a nice, relaxed shot at the 10-pin. Let's see if I can make it. Again, I set myself up the inside edge of my left foot on board 37. I put my hand in the ball, look at my target, just relax, and shoot it. And I made it. Even though I was a little bit left, the angle held it in there, and I made the spare. Well, what about the 6-pin? Well, it's much the same. Let me show you. Again, I come back. Remember, we were standing on board 37. Now, for the 6-pin, I simply move 3 boards to the right. Set myself up. I want to walk toward my target, pretend the channel isn't there, and make a nice, relaxed shot. Here we go. And there we have it. 2 of the more difficult 1-pin spares, the 6-pin and the 10-pin. Remember the principles. Spares on the right side of the lane, I move to the left. I walk toward the target. I mentally pretend that the channel is not there, and I make a nice, relaxed shot at it. Now, it may be that many of you, or some of you, have questions about the sport of bowling that I haven't answered in my tips or on our telecast. If so, I wish you would write me with your question. Send them to Mike Durbin, care of the Professional Bowlers Association, 1720 Merriman Road, Akron, Ohio. The zip code is 44313. Thanks so much. We'll see you again next week.
Mike, what if you're like me and you never leave the 10-pin?
Well, sooner or later, you're going to leave it, Alan, so that'll show you how to make it.
Okay, let's see who's winning how much.
All right, our top 10 money winners, again, is led by Earl Anthony with over $131,000. You didn't add to it this week. Marshall Holman, who took this week off, is second with $94,000. Tom Milton, $88,000. Don Janella, who's having a kidney operation, I guess it was successful, at $68,000. Joe Berardi, $66,000. Pete Couture, in a bit of a slump lately at $64,000. Yours truly holding on with $63,000. Pete Weber added to his money list this week, $54,500. Gary Skidmore at $53,795. And the top 10 is rounded out by nice guy Henry Gonzalez at $53,305.
I understand Don Janella is okay. We send him our best wishes, but he will be off the tour, I understand, until 1984. We will return with our coverage of the 1983 PBA Tour Canadian style after these messages on USA.
We are USA 1, taking charge with tough, easy-to-own transportation like Chevy Chevette. While Ford's 83 base Escort suggested retail price went up, the lowest price Chevy Chevette held the line. In fact, this two-door Chevette is priced over $600 less than Escort L two-door. And Chevette has millions more owner-driven miles behind it. Chevy Chevette, from America's sales leader. Now, choose 10.9% financing or $300 cash back on new 83 Chevy Chevettes.
That's not hair.
My flash didn't work anyway. Dead batteries.
I want to try Duracell.
Come on.
Seriously, Duracell batteries give you 4 times as many flashes.
Regular carbon batteries average less than 50 flashes, but you can count on 200 flash photos and more with Duracell. The copper top battery. No regular battery looks like it.
Or lasts like it.
A double play. Anyone who pitches for a living loves a beautifully turned twin killing. Hi, this is Tom Seaver for the Sporting News, and we have a twin killing for you. 2 issues for the price of 1 to introduce you to the Sporting News, the Sports Bible. That's right, you'll get 26 issues of the Sporting News for just $9.99. 2 for the price of 1. And you can't buy the Sporting News for a lower price anywhere. It's the magazine that gives me the no-nonsense details of all Major League sports and college action. To love sports is to love the Sporting News, the Sports Bible. Why don't you subscribe today, and here's a friend to tell you how.
That's right, Tom. You get the Sporting News at the low rate of 38 cents an issue. 26 issues for $9.99. That's half the regular subscription price. Call toll-free 1-800-USA-1000. In Georgia, 1-800-222-7272. That's 1-800-USA-1000. In Georgia, 1-800-222-7272.
And here's the next game that we'll see in the Molson Bowling Challenge. Sam Zurich, having just defeated Mark Baker, moves on to face another 22-year-old, John Forst from LaGrange, Illinois, who hasn't finished better than 4th in his previous 2 television appearances. And not only is it an important event for him just because he's in the TV finals, but for another reason.
Well, his sponsor is a fellow from Chicago named Stan Sims, his same sponsor that Mike Steinbeck had. And I guess I understand he died recently of cancer. And John is just dedicating this tournament to him and to the memory of Stan Sims. So he really wants to do well here for him.
And for those of you who may not know, the sponsor is really the lifeblood of a bowler who can give him the needed money to go out on the tour. Earlier, I had a chance to talk to John Forst and hear what he had to say about his chances tonight. For the first time, John Forst has made the TV finals in a tournament other than the World Open. The past 2 years running, with the World Open coming up in just a few weeks, you've made the TV finals there and finished 4th both times. Now, finally, out of your home state of Illinois, you've made the TV finals. How do you feel?
I feel pretty good. I feel relieved that I can bowl someplace other than the world.
The home field advantage in bowling, you don't hear it very often, yet you would have to have an advantage there, yet you told me that you've never bowled there prior to the tournaments.
Well, it's a crowd. When you're away from home, you've got a lot of unfamiliar faces, and it makes it a little uneasy for you. When I bowl at the World, I see a lot of my friends there, and it just makes it like bowling at home.
Now, John, you picked up on the tour in January. How have you found it now after, 7, 8 months?
Oh, I've bowled real well. I had a bad winter, and I lost some weight between the winter and the spring, and since I lost that 20 pounds, my bowling's been real well.
How did you lose 20 pounds?
I just stopped eating junk foods and started being a little more sensible with my diets.
John, you're a bowling teacher, I understand. You give some instructions to kids, I guess, and adults, whoever wants it. What types of things do you stress as far as bowling and success? Is it more mental? Is it just getting the techniques down and then concentrating? What are the elements that you teach?
Well, I don't teach so much physical stuff because everyone's got their individual games and individual quirks about their games. I try and teach them shortcuts and avoiding trouble, and that's mostly mental.
Now, as we watch you tonight, what type of things will be going through your mind?
Just execution. If I make good shots, I can beat anybody on this kind of condition.
Now, the conditions here this week at Rose Lanes have been very erratic, to say the least. It takes a big hook, of which you throw a mighty big one.
Yeah, it's a strong bowlers tournament. It seemed like the harder you bowled, the harder you threw it, the more hook you had, the better the way things turned out.
How do you feel tonight?
I feel real good.
And we're set to go. Sam Zurich from Huntington, New York, and John Forst of LaGrange, Illinois. Forst is first up on the left lane as we use lanes 41 and 42 in the 50-lane complex here in Windsor.
In between games, Joe Hutchinson came over, and his observation was that he felt that both Mark Baker and Steve Wunderlich's balls were actually rolling out at the pocket. That is, that they started to turn left and they quit right at the end. As he starts right off with the 2-8-10, he threw almost all strikes in practice, and he didn't think that John Forst's ball would roll out because he's so big and so strong and throws so hard. Now watch, see how he has that ball cupped on his wrist, and watch his high backswing, and watch the wrist at the top of the swing, and then he pulls it through, good follow through. He just did not get the lift that he needed. The ball went too long, and it's almost an impossible split. Gets one of them and 8 out, and Sam Zurich is ahead, sitting on the bench.
Well, once again, we have to say that John Forst has to forget about it because open frames have been coming quite frequently so far.
Well, we've had 7 open frames in 2 games and 1 0 ball. So Zurich again playing more conventional, right around the 3rd arrow. Not a real big hook. This is intentional. And a little short, and he gives it right back, 6-7-10. And I think that Sam will actually take a shot at this. He's playing right around the 3rd arrow here, and he actually gets it short of target, doesn't get out to the 3rd arrow, breaks too soon, and he gets the full penalty right here. I think he'll take a shot at this to try and take a lead in the match by converting the split. I made 2 of these in this bowling center this week out of 3 that I left. Uses a harder ball and gets 7. Amazingly enough, the man gets 8 in the first frame and is ahead.
Just never grabbed the lane.
Well, it's a harder surface ball, and it just did, as you say, it never bit the lane. Sam moves over to lane 41. Down 1 pin, 8-7.
His high game this tournament, a 279. Let's take a look at his grip.
Again, right underneath the ball, thumb buried in it. Kind of taps it with that index finger straight behind the ball, then he turns it at the last second. Nice even turn, blows the 5 right into the 7.
So Zurich is back on track. Now let's see if John Forst can get back in the pocket.
See how right behind that ball, and then he turns and lifts with his fingers. Now watch the ball deflects a little bit, but got enough of the 5, and the head pin got the 1-2-4 right on down the line.
Forst also looking at.
See how that ball rests on his forearm there? How does he do that?
Still.
That's amazing. And here it comes. Woo! Oh.
That 7 pin just slid out of there.
Yeah, but that ball was revving up so hard. It's amazing. See the height of this backswing and where the wrist is. The ball goes out here, about to the 8th board, and just crunch. And as you say, the 7 was the last to fall. Up 1 pin, can increase it to 11 if he can double. It was light the first time on this lane. See if he makes any kind of an adjustment. He'd probably just throw it wider. He does. He gives it more room, and it did not make it. He leaves the 1-2-4-6-10, and amazingly enough, the players are having trouble with this left lane. Mark Baker did the whole last game. He did exactly what I said. He threw it wider, but it just never made it back. That oil must have carried down the lane. He chops the 3, 9, 7, 8 out of there. And the 5 uses another ball to spare and almost made it on the right, which is not the usual way you see it shot. Gets 9 out, and not a very good beginning for John Forst. 36 in the 3rd frame. down 11 pins, and Sam Zurich can increase it to 21. Again, Sam keeping the ball much straighter than all the other players, and it seems to be the benefit for today. Right over the third arrow, good shot, and it broke right at the end, and again, the 6, 7, 10.
Can you believe this? John Forst leaving 2 out of the first 3 frames open, and Sam Zurich on the verge of doing the same thing.
I watched the shot. I thought he had better loft and speed, and it just hooked right there. And he gets no break going through the heart of the pins, switches balls again.
There were pins all around that 7-pin and just wouldn't go down.
And he's got a chance. Almost got it. Almost got it.
Well, Forst and Zurich both leave the 3rd frame open, and both of them came very close to making tremendously difficult spares.
Well, we haven't seen a spare yet converted in this match. We've seen 2 strikes and 4 opens, no spares.
Zurich trails by 1. There's the board.
36 to 35. And again, the viewers at home are saying, well, I can shoot those kind of scores, and they can. Over the third arrow, and gets the 10-pin out of there. Seems like the guys that throw the big hook have got the right lane down, and Sam's got the left lane down. Right straight through the ball here, over the third arrow, out to about the 12th board, and watch the 6-pin slap that 10 right out there. Had good fingers in that shot. Forst standing way left. So a much more hook. Over the 17th board, out to about 12, 4, 6, 10. Wow.
Well, this should be a highlight film for difficult spares.
Impossible spares sometimes. This one is definitely difficult. And as we were talking, that big hook ball, you know, can throw a lot of strikes, but it can get you in a lot of trouble, too. If you can't get it in the 1-3 pocket, it won't strike. And he's going to get 7 out. Wow. And things are going from bad to worse. 12 pins behind.
Still, Mike, with all his problems, 12 pins is not that bad.
And I'm still waiting for the first spare in the match. We still haven't had one.
Look at this. That was the look of disgust and amazement on the face of John Forst.
Well, I don't know whether he's disgusted with his pins or himself. Trying on this left lane, he's been light twice. This one goes high through the nose, leaves the 3-6, and right now, the hook ball bowler, who has had the big advantage the whole week, is at a disadvantage right now. If George Pappas were out there right now, he'd probably be murdering him and just chewing these guys out.
What is Dennis Jacques thinking?
I don't know what Dennis Jacques. He came over and threw 4 practice balls in between. I don't think he got any strikes. It just changed drastically. He throws a hook at the spare and misses it. We're still looking for our first spare. 52 in the 5th. Our low game, I think, ever on television was 139. Alan Granite had it last year. Things are disaster right now.
Well, it's the twilight zone for John Forst. We're at the midway point of the 3rd game in the championship round of the Molson Bowling Challenge in Windsor. We'll be back.
It's one of my bigger days.
Let me buy a beer.
Sure. These fans, I love them. When I came in, they didn't recognize me at first, but then when I told them who I was, next thing you know, they're buying me my favorite beer, light beer from Miller. They know us ex-big leaguers drink light because it's got 1/3 less calories than their regular beer. It's less filling, and it tastes great. Thanks.
Hey, it's a pleasure to buy a beer for a great pitcher like Whitey Ford.
Hey, so I lied.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Hey, Whitey, I thought you were a lefty.
Oh, that's right.
We are USA 1, and proving it in Chevy Cavalier. Cavalier's high compression 2-liter engine with electronic fuel injection gives you more power than the 3 leading imports. And even though Cavalier sedan is shorter outside than Honda Accord sedan, it gives you 6 cubic feet more passenger room inside, plus more room in the trunk. Chevy Cavalier, from America's sales leader. USA 1 is taking charge.
It's a USA movie triple treat. Starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday, it's Joan Bennett and George Brent in the classic comedy Twin Beds. Then a clean-cut soldier meets a radical college student in a cross-country battle of wills and wit. Barbara Stanwyck and Robert Young star in Red Salute. And at 2 p.m. Eastern, you'll die laughing with Leo McKern as a jolly bad fellow. Don't miss the USA movie triple feature, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern Saturday. The USA Network proudly presents an evening with that rockin' classy British dude, Ian Hunter.
I think it's the best. When you're locked in the middle of New York City, Central Park and West.
It's Shades of Ian Hunter in concert on the USA Network at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, Monday.
It is a 23-pin lead for Sam Zurich, and right about now, John Forst would like to run away and hide. 52.
Find a hole and crawl into it, right? How many times have you opened twice in the 4 frames and found yourself 23 pins ahead? Almost never. Let's see what kind of adjustment he makes here on this right lane. He's been high twice. Okay, remember, he was light the first ball in the 10th frame of the last game. And gets it. Oh, hell, just enough. Gets us 7-pin out for a double. Sam throws it here, and he watches. He doesn't know whether it's going to hook high or not. Look at those eyes. Holy see. All right.
He spells relief, S-T-R-I-K-E.
Right. Can take an overwhelming 43-pin lead here if he can get one more. And he's definitely thinking about 2 in a row now.
Working on a double.
Right there. Pretty shot. He's just got the left lane zeroed in. That smaller hook is going right to the pocket.
Triple for Zurich. Let's see how he felt about it.
Look at his eyes right on the target. Watch the follow through. Straight up. Watching it all the way into the pins. Yeah.
All right, to say Forst needs a strike for mental stability and to stay in this match.
Moved a little further left. Over the 3rd arrow. Looks good. And it held. Well, those balls hook left so hard I can't read them, I'll tell you what.
How good did that feel, Mike?
Well, it's not going to feel any good unless he gets some in a row. But at least he knows now he's going to make 100. He has 52 in the 5th with a strike up in the 6th. He's still down 43 pins. And what's his potential if he goes all the way? 202? Is he still potential? Yes, 202. So these guys can string strikes as well as opens.
Hey there.
And got it in the pocket, left the 4-pin. And we have a chance here, Alan, in the 7th frame to see our first spare. I think that John's going to show us our first spare. Cross lane at the 4-pin. And he has it. And we have our first spare of the 2nd game, or the 3rd game. Zurich working on a triple, going to his more difficult lane, lane 42. This lane, if he gives it a little room, it doesn't make it back, and if he sets it a little short, it's right through the nose. He has to be precise, right over that 3rd arrow. Bounces that ball up and down, gets himself ready. 5 short steps. A little light, blows the 5 right out of there.
Well, Zurich now has strung 4 strikes together.
Sammy's getting more confident with each frame now. Gives this one good room, moves to his right, tries to help it back, smacks those hands together, thinking more and more. He's not quite as outgoing as Marshall.
No. Marshall Holman gave us some exciting reactions.
There we see the difference. 95 in the 5th with 2 in a row working. Actually 4 altogether. Hit this lane every time. Ooh, solid 10 right there in the pocket. But Sam's really not too concerned about that. Now he's lined in on the pocket on both lanes. That's a very makeable spare in the 10-pin.
Now, how should he do this? Just to recap your tip.
Cross lane over the 3rd arrow, although he may play it closer to the 4th. Pretend like that channel's not there, and just holds on to make it. 53 pins ahead. Right now, the best that John can get if he strikes all the way out is 182, and Sam Zurich is going at a 204 pace. So John is in deep trouble. Right there, though. Still has a chance, slim as it may be. I know he'd like to, if nothing else, he'd like to strike out to finish with a respectable 182 rather than something disastrous. There we see the difference there. It's 52 pins, 144 to 92. And John finally hits that left lane.
Well, he's really settled in since the 5th frame when he left his 3rd open.
Right.
He's now got a strike, spare, strike, strike.
And the spare in the 7th frame definitely could have been a strike. He left that 4-pin. And Sam Zurich is definitely in the driver's seat. Needs a mark in these last 2 frames, one of the 2 frames, in order to win. And that's the best kind of mark there is right there. Solid in the 1-3 pocket. Even if Sam opens in the 10th frame, he's going to be a winner. The only way he would lose is if he would throw one in the channel, which we've seen that happen tonight. But he'd have to do it twice. So he's seems to be wide, lined in on both lanes. He's hit this left lane every time but once. John thinking another chance down the tubes. But he's only 22. I'm sure there'll be a lot more chances for him. And he doesn't need it, so he's not too upset.
Oh, boy.
Swishing 7-10. We saw that left by Wonderlick in the first shot in the first game.
This was about the only impossible spare we haven't seen in this game.
And amazingly enough, this is going to be, as he gets 8 out, finishes with 190 even. The 7th open in this game alone between these 2 bowlers. And we had 7 in the first 2 games, so we have 14 opens plus a 0 shot. Here it comes. He just got lined up a little bit too late. Amazing. If he strikes out, he's going to lose this match only by 8 pins. Only by 8 pins.
It's strange, Mike. 2 weeks in a row now we've had less than spectacular bowling.
Yes, that's true.
I mean, last week in Buffalo was tough for the bowlers, too.
Not quite this tough, though.
No, this is real strange.
Well, he gave that one a lot more room. It doesn't make it back, leaves a 2-4-10. We've seen that one before today, too. If he makes it, he finishes with 169. See if he can show us the shot. 9 out, 168, and I'm sure John is terribly disappointed. But like I said, there'll be other days for him. He's young, strong, and has a powerful bowling ball.
So Sam Zurich, 190 to 168, eliminating John Forst. When we return, Sam Zurich tries to win his 2nd straight PBA title. We'll be back.
How much would you pay for what may be the world's most beautiful fish fillet knife? A fillet knife advertised in Field & Stream for $35. Made from high carbon content 420 surgical stainless steel, hollow ground and fully tempered at 1900 degrees. What would you pay for a fish fillet knife with a lifetime guarantee? Every fisherman and outdoorsman needs a good hunting knife, and here's one of the best. This hunting knife is advertised in Field & Stream for $40. $40. Now how much would you pay for both? Because we don't accept CODs, we can make this offer even better. Here's a great 2-inch lockback sport knife that completes your set. You get the fish fillet and custom sheath, the hunting knife and custom sheath, and the lockback sports knife, and all 3 knives are guaranteed for life. A comparable $104.95 value if you order today. The whole set is yours for $26.26. MasterCard and Visa customers, call 1-800-USA-1000. Send your check or money order to Sport Knives, Post Office Box 49648, Atlanta, Georgia, 30359.
The dogfight continues in the American League East on the next edition of USA's Thursday Night Baseball. Willie Upshaw, Lloyd Mosby, and the rags-to-riches Toronto Blue Jays look to hang in tough against hard-hitting Eddie Murray and the high-flying Baltimore Orioles. make a big hit with Thursday Night Baseball. Toronto and Baltimore live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, only on USA. May not be seen in some areas.
The thrills and spills of outrageous professional wrestling is coming your way every Sunday morning. It's Southwest Championship Wrestling, wrestling at its best, with the likes of Bruiser Bob Sweetan, Cowboy Scott Casey, The Turk, and the Masked Grapplers. It's a hard-hitting, eye-opening weekly feature, Southwest Championship Wrestling, following the Sunday Cartoon Express at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on the USA Cable Network. Every week.
It's come down to these two bowlers for the championship here in Windsor, Ontario. 26-year-old Sam Zurich trying to win his championship for the second week in a row. He won last week in Buffalo. He goes up against big hooking Dennis Jacques from Middletown, New Jersey, 23 years old. And what this amounts to is one game for $7,000, because the winner would win $15,000, the loser $8,000. Now, what is Dennis Jacques thinking after seeing the wide rollers go down as they have in the past couple of games?
Well, if he's learning, he's probably thinking that I need to move a little further inside, play similar to what Sam Zurich is doing, even though he throws more hook than Sam Zurich. But right now, this is such an important game to Dennis Jacques, because it qualifies him for the Firestone Tournament of Champions if he wins. It settles in his mind that he can be a champion and win. It's just a much bigger game to him right now, even though Sam Zurich is going for 2 in a row, which is a remarkable achievement. I think the game is bigger to Dennis Jacques right now.
Earlier, I had a chance to talk to the leader coming into this championship round, Dennis Jacques. This is Dennis Jacques, 23 years old, 6'3" and a little over 230 pounds, so he says. And bowling is a unique sport in that he can bowl up against bowlers that are half his weight and maybe twice his age and compete on the same level. That makes bowling quite unique, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. You got football, where, you know, size is the whole matter, and hockey. But then you go to golf, tennis, and bowling, where it's just technique mostly that'll make the difference.
Dennis, you mentioned football. You played some football, you played some basketball, and you are a bulky type of a guy. Did you have trouble coordinating your muscles or weighting yourself down to bowl as good as you're bowling this week?
No, not really. When you play all kind of sports, like most of the other guys that made the show this week, the coordination just comes natural. You can almost do anything you try the first time.
You mentioned the other bowlers this week. Some high scores, big hooks, mostly big bowlers. Why was it that way this week?
You had to be able to get the ball down the lane with speed and still have turn on it to get to effectively carry the pins. So most of the guys are larger than the smaller bowlers this week, but you still had Norm Duke and George Pappas, who were one of the smaller bowlers in the finals this week.
Dennis, you're only one of 3 bowlers who have been able to bowl a perfect game righty and lefty, and you did it in the shortest time span between opportunities, 44 days. How did that all come about? How did you become so skillful both ways?
Well, when I was home practicing off the tour, I would practice for a couple hours and get a little tired. So, you know, everybody kept saying how easy a left side, how easy a right side was. So I would practice a little bit left-handed, and I just got a little better and a little better. And then finally one day some friends asked me to sub in the league, and bingo, first game, 300.
That's remarkable. What type of situation tonight would force you to all of a sudden jump to the left hand?
If I was down the match by about 20, 30 pins, I leave a 2-8-10 or, you know, a very difficult spare that can only be made from the left side, or total luck by the right, I would go to the left-handed and try and pick up the spare to get back into the game.
In one word, going into this championship match, how do you feel?
Confident.
So this is the championship match. Sam Zurich and Dennis Jacques.
And right away, interestingly enough, Dennis Jacques has the choice of which lane to start on and finish on, and he's chosen to start the match, which means he'll finish on lane 42. That allows Sam Zurich to finish on lane 41, which seems to be his favorite of the 2 lanes. It's not what I would have chosen.
230 is average this week.
Come on, come on. 3-6-10 right away. And again, the big hook ball bowler having trouble right away. 5-step delivery. Pretty free swing. See that cupped wrist again? That's characteristic of all of them. Snaps it through and gets that big turn and hook. Can he make the spare, though? He hooks it at the spare and slides by, as we have seen so many times. What I was going to say is that right now, the odds-on favorite to win this game has to be Sam Zurich, because the hook ball bowler, as we watch him turn the ball at the spare, and it doesn't bite. See, it just slides right on by.
It's our 15th open frame. Ted Hanna's a PBA bowler sitting next to us said a few moments ago, no one's ever bowled like this against me.
Well, it's unfortunate that we had such good bowling all week, and then for our showcase event, we have trouble. And Sam starts right off with a solid strike. Right now, the entire field is, for the first 4 games, is averaging, or first 6 games, is averaging 190. It was a little inside the third arrow that time. The ball holds pocket, all 10 right in the pit.
Sam bowled a 192 and a 257 this week on the TV pair. Here's how he grips the bowling ball.
And he has that cupped wrist a little bit too. That wrist is cupped up, not as much as some of the others, but it's a little bit. Pretty straight swing. 3, 6, 7, 10. And the lane he had been hitting, it's just, that's a little anxious. He wanted the double so bad that he just laid that ball a little short. Nerves did this, I think, or just the pressure of the situation. The ball had no chance there, and he doesn't get a break to break up the split. This is convertible. You hit the 3-pin on the right, the ball hits the 6-10, and the 3-pin goes across and makes the 7. He is switching bowling balls. I think he's got his other one, the shinier one. No, he has the same bowling ball. Cross lane. Has a chance. Pin didn't flatten out.
Oh, so close. Well, I believe that's the 3rd time where a bowler has started out with an open frame, and then before he's blinked, he's back in the match because the other bowler has left an open frame in the early part of the match, too.
Well, we've seen our share. That's the 16th one.
Dennis leads by 1. Looking for his first PBA title.
Short with that shot. Over on to Brooklyn. He just didn't give it the room. It's so hard sometimes under the pressure to give that big hook that much room, knowing that if it doesn't make it back, it's going to leave the 2, 8, 10.
He's doing some mental figuring about how to approach these 2 lanes. He'll move to the left lane now.
Well, nevertheless, he's 1 pin ahead, can increase it to 11 if he can get a double. Gives it room this time. We're seeing happen so many times that oil has been carried down the lane, and these big hook ball bowlers think it's going to come back, and it keeps on sliding. Now, watch him throw the ball. He thinks he's made a good shot. At this point, he thinks it's going to hook, and see it slide there? There's oil in that situation. The 2-7, not the most difficult split in the world, especially for a hook ball bowler as it's going away. And he has it. Very nice shot. What he wants to do on this situation, what he's trying to do is hit that 2-pin on the left and have it deflect right in the 7. Perfect example of how to do it. He moves over and he's watching Sam here. I don't know if he's trying to line up off Sam or not, but he's definitely watching where he's playing. Right over the 3rd arrow. And trips the 4-pin out of there.
He was going to school on Sam Zurich's shot.
Yeah, it was like me watching Harry Golden putt today, although I didn't learn anything. There we see the score, 29-28. The difference, Zurich has the strike working with Jake's the spare. Sam was in the pocket every time on this lane the last game, missed it in the 2nd frame. Has a chance to take the lead if he can double. Gives this one more room. It's light, though. The dinner bucket, the 2, 4, 5, 8. And as we saw last week happen so many times, you know, the ball's a little short and it's high. You give it a little more room and it won't make it back. Tough spare here.
There's a very strange atmosphere in here. It seems like everyone is a little bit nervous for the bowlers because of how inconsistent the lanes have been.
Well, they're like embarrassed for the bowlers. I mean, to see them struggle this much. Nice conversion. Every pin with the ball he hit. Keeps it within 1 pin. As we see Sam here from the left side of the approach. Watch the ball go right through and get every pin. Jakes on lane 42. Moved in deeper. Right there, pretty shot. Did you see that? He moved further left with his feet and his line.
Was that something he learned from watching Sam Zurich?
That's what he watched Sam Zurich on this right lane. See, he's in deeper here between the third and fourth arrow. That's what I thought Mark Baker should have done. Solid in the 1-3. But now, lane 41, he's been light in the third frame. Let's see what kind of an adjustment he can make there. He was high in the first frame. He left the 3-6-10, then the 2-7.
This is his best result of the year.
Oh, he made a pretty shot. Great adjustment and gets a bad break. Solid 10. Keeps the match within 1 pin, though. Again, it's not high scores, but it certainly is tight. As we said, the first 3 matches, the players are averaging 190. And has the definite possibility that the 190 could win this match. Makes the 10 pin easily.
Well, we're at the midway point of the championship match here in Windsor, Ontario. It's a close one. Only 1 pin separates Dennis Jacques, and Sam Zurich will wrap it up and bowl this one out when we return on USA.
I'll tell you, trying to get cultured isn't easy. We just went to the opera and we didn't understand a word.
Yeah, but that big guy in those tights sure could sing.
Well, at least we still drink a very civilized beer. Light beer from Miller. Light tastes great.
But us impresarios drink it because it's less filling.
We can't afford to get filled up. Tomorrow night, we're going to the ballet.
Yeah, I sure hope they do it in English.
Me too.
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
You know, for my money, every pair of slacks ought to be this comfortable. These are Levi's Action slacks. I own 4 pair now, and I'm convinced they may be the most comfortable slacks a man can wear. First, they have a hidden stretch waistband. It's a great invention. Second, the fabric gives for even more comfort. And now Levi's Action slacks are stay pressed. A washable permanent press that really stays pressed. You try them.
In the beginning, man's feet walked free, but the road to civilization was paved, so man developed shoes. Soon after that, man developed athlete's foot. Now at last there's Mycotin. Mycotin cures athlete's foot. It's the only athlete's foot medicine you can buy with myconazole, an ingredient available for the first time without a doctor's prescription. Mycotin in spray, powder, or cream. Mycotin, the end of the road for athlete's foot.
Christopher Lee is a horror film star who brings real life to his newest role on the Alfred Hitchcock Hour at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 Pacific on USA Tonight. They put the rock in rock and roll. Radio 1990 takes you on a journey from the early ages of rock to the rock of ages with the giants of heavy metal. Brace yourself for the Radio 1990 Heavy Metal Special on the USA Network at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, Friday.
Sam Zurich looking like the Pink Panther here tonight, down by a pin in the 5th frame. Full house at Rose Bowl Lanes in Windsor, Ontario.
And interestingly enough, in the previous match, he had trouble on lane 42, and now he's struck twice on it. And Dennis Jacques has already gone to school. He's not watching this time. Wow. Double pinnacle. The 4-6-7-10, just a little short with that shot. Did not get the projection that he needed. Hit about board 17, makes a left-hand turn right here, right through the heart, and leaves them all.
Is there any impossible spares we haven't seen now?
I don't think so. He's probably just going to fire hard and hope it bounces out. Takes 8 out. And suddenly, Sam Zurich's quest for his 2nd straight victory is becoming more and more difficult. He's got himself into a 17-pin deficit here, a big hole that he's dug for himself.
And that's why winning consecutive PBA titles is so tough. One shot.
And right now, as we said, 190 looks like a definite possibility of winning this match. Sam back to this left lane, hasn't struck on it yet. In fact, hasn't hit the pocket on it yet. And he doesn't hit it this time either. Leaves the 3-6 right through the heart of the pins. And what he had in the last match, he's lost. You just get rattled out there sometimes, Alan, and it's so tough to regain your composure, your thought process, and everything that's necessary to make the good shots on such a difficult, demanding condition right now that we have. And the bowlers get so frustrated thinking, well, this is not what I bowled on all week long. It's similar, but it just doesn't react the same. As he shoots cross lane at the 3-6 and makes the spare.
So now a 17-pin difference.
And he took a quick look back at his girlfriend, Monica, and I know that look as I've given it to my wife many, many times. You know, it's that look of disgust and frustration. See the cup wrist again. Characteristic of all these players today. And
Sam Zurich is back in it.
As Dennis is down, sitting on the approach, talking to himself. It's not his fault here. Inside the third arrow, lets it out. Watch the 5-pin. It'll go behind the 7. And he gets 8 out. That is his fault. He shouldn't have done that. Cuts it down to a 3-pin differential right now. Right now, Dennis Jacques is going at a 175 pace. Sam Zurich at 172. There we see the difference. 95 in the 6th. Sam, if he strikes in the 7th, would have 92. He has 72 in the 5th right now. As we've had 18 opens. 10-pin this time. He's gone strike, solid 10, swishing 7-10, weak 10. 4 good shots and 1 strike. This ball just comes in behind the head pin, and the 6-pin doesn't have a chance to get up and get it. Just falls off softly. Cross lane at the 10-pin. Needs every spare. Needs every pin. He shouldn't have missed that 1 spare. That 1 pin on the 7-pin and 10. He should have gotten 1.
Well, we mentioned it. We're watching someone who's bowled a 300 game here this week, of which there were 6.
The Dennis is shaking his head right now, but that's not the right thing to do. Even though he's had some bad breaks, he is still in this match and still can win his first PBA title. It doesn't matter whether you bowl 250 or 150 as long as you win. This is match play. Sam back in. It gives it more room, but it's not going to make it. It leaves the 2-5. It's a 5-pin difference. They are difficult. We're sitting right behind Sam Zurich, and I can see when he sets it just a little short, the ball hooks early, it gives it more room, and it doesn't make it back. And that begins to affect how you throw the ball, your confidence, everything when you get up on the approach. The spare is so important, too, the 2-5. Needs to throw firm and straight at it. Has it. All right. Keeps the match tight. I'll tell you what, these guys are going to have to bowl well to get the 190.
Yeah.
They're going to have to finish strong, in other words. 8th frame action. We see the difference there. And again, Sam was in this situation last week, and we said he needed to make 4 good shots at that time. Now he needs to make 3 good passes at the ball. It was right about at this point, a little earlier, that he moved out last week, but he's staying in this week. High again, breaks up the split, leaves the 6-10. He just is not giving that ball room on the left lane.
Well, Mike, for the bowlers who think this game is 90 or 100% mental, they're getting a tremendous test here tonight, because there's the type of bowler who can just say, I can't believe this, and get really frustrated. And then there's the type of bowler who can say, okay, if that's the conditions here tonight, that's what I'm going to have to bowl around.
And he missed them both. That's just lapse of concentration. Dennis Jacques looks to the heavens and thinks that he's in the driver's seat now. Sam Zurich is going at a 156 pace. The best I ever saw at doing exactly what you said there, of adapting and adjusting to what was out there, was Dick Ricker. No matter what it took, Ricker was a winner all the way and could adapt to whether it was high scoring or low scoring. Right now, Jacques is definitely in the driver's seat. It'd take another bad break or an open to put Zurich back in this match. And there he gets it right solid in the 1-3 pocket. He looks very determined right here. Really lifts it hard. He knows it's solid. Little Marshall Holman act there.
Yep.
Right now, though, Sam needs to strike right here. The best Zurich can get is 176. And Dennis, I think I said Sam Dennis needs to strike here, is going at a 175 pace. And it slides by and leaves the 1-2-4-10. He thought the ball was going to hook and be solid in the 1-3 pocket.
This is truly amazing. Just when you think, I mean,
I do not know what the lowest score is to win a championship round match.
I mean, the next sentence out of our mouth, Mike, so many times tonight is, well, he needs a strike, needs a strike. Then the next bowler comes up and leaves it open.
This is a makeable spare. And he gets 7 out, loses all that count. That gives him 132 to 139. They are both bowling in the 150s right now. The winner of this tournament could bowl a 150 game. In fact, Sam Zurich is faced with a situation he can lock out Dennis Jacques. Stay with us, Alan.
I'm okay.
He's looking in the record book. Alan is right now. The crowd reaction is much the same as ours right here. Is just disbelief of what's happening. Gives it more room. 2-4-5-8 again. The ball just will not make it back for him on the right lane and is hooking early on the left lane. Sam thought this ball had a chance to get back, but watch his follow through. Looked pretty good. It just did not make it. The follow through looked decent to me. Tough, tough spare. And he makes it perfectly. Sam is 3 pins down going to the 10th frame. His best potential, as we see the score right there, 139 for Jacques in the 9th. Sam, if he strikes the first ball in the 10th, has 136 in the 9th. He can get 166. That would force Jacques to double to get 169. We have a potential tie yet. There still could be a tie in this match.
Well, you know, in sports, sometimes it's great to watch a 300 game or a shutout, but sometimes it's also very entertaining to watch a game filled with errors because it only makes the outcome that more difficult to predict.
He needs to give the ball room on this left lane. He hasn't done it until now, and gets the 10 pin out of there. Interestingly enough, as the 6 pin just nudges the 10, we see the reaction here. He gives us more room. And watch the 6 just get up and get it. Just barely the tender touch. Is that the left lane seems to be hooking earlier for Zurich, while the left lane is going straighter for Jacques. It's a really weird reaction out there. This one to take the lead by 7 pins and force Dennis Jacques to double in the 10th frame. It's high, breaks up the split, leaves the 6-10, forcing Jacques now to need a fill of 18 pins in the 10th frame, a spare and 8 to win by a pin. Sam needs to make the 2 pins. Again, we have a potential tie, a spare and 7, and we have a 2-frame roll-off. Right now, what Jacques is thinking, though, as Sam almost went by the 6 pin. Right now, what Jacques is thinking is a strike. He doesn't want to shoot a spare. He wants to strike this first ball in the 10. And I really don't like his rack. Looking at that rack, if he hits light, that's a potential 7-10. He's short with it. It's high. 3-6-10. What a tough spare to make to win your first PBA title. I saw Wayne Webb a few years ago, to win his first PBA title in Waukegan, Illinois, where we're going next week. He had to make this exact same spare against Jimmy Certain. He made it on the left.
Well, there's no defense in bowling.
And he missed this spare in the first frame.
Sam Zurich knows that.
What a tough spare to make. He has it.
Now he needs 7.
Now he needs 8.
8.
7, and we have a tie. He comes back and he checks the score. He's saying, all right, what a reaction.
About time.
But he still needs 8 to win, 7 is a tie, 6 he loses. He's high, and we have, oh, he wins by a pin! He wins by a pin! 157 to 156. I think it is the all-time lowest winning score for a championship ever in PGA history. It is. 157 to 156, but it doesn't matter. This is match play, and he has won his first PBA title.
No one has ever won a PBA title with a score that low. But I'll tell you what, tomorrow, Dennis Jacques will only remember that he has a check for $15,000 and a PBA title trophy. We'll make the award presentations when we return on USA. What a night.
All right, we're up 15. We got this game won.
Yeah, you get to buy a light beer from Miller. Yeah, nice Philly.
One out to go. Yeah, what can he do to us now?
Hey, I'll keep the change. Here's Rodney! Any pinch hitters left?
Here I am.
Come on, Lee!
Light beer from Miller. Everything you always wanted in a beer, and less.
Hey, wait a minute. This game isn't over yet. I caught that ball.
Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge. And talk about tough. This stock Chevy S10 took on the Baja 1000, the most grueling off-road event on the continent. It was a totally stock pickup with guts enough to start and finish. And at the Baja, to finish is to win. You can buy an S10 pickup just like it from your Chevy dealers now. Now, choose 10.9% financing or $300 cash back on new 83 S10 pickups and maxi cabs. Tough Chevy trucks are taking charge.
Sometimes it's reassuring to know your car will perform well. That's why stunt driver Michelle Slate relies on mobile detergent gasoline. After all, a car with a clean carburetor performs better. It's as simple as that. Mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs.
For one fleeting moment, it looked as though we would have a tie, and then the 10-pin dropped. And that's the reaction of Dennis Jacques, who has now won his very first PBA title. And while it was not pretty, it certainly does count, Dennis Jacques. And here to present the trophy, a very pretty soapstone sculpture, is Mr. Greg McNamara, the district sales manager for Molson Breweries.
Thank you, Alan. Dennis, on behalf of Molson Breweries, I'm very pleased to be able to present this permanent memento of your victory here this evening, truly a piece of Canada in the soapstone sculpture, and congratulations on behalf of Molson.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dennis. And now the proprietor here at the Rose Bowl Lanes, Mr. David Rose, with the real good news.
Dennis, my pleasure to present you with the winner's check of $15,000. I'm sure I speak for everyone when we all say congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Mr. McNamara.
I want to thank everybody here at Rose Bowl, Mr. Rose, Mr. Greg for hosting the tournament. Proud you've been with me all week, and ups and downs. This is one of the downs, and it worked out. I don't really know what to say, but thank you.
Dennis, that match had to be filled with so many emotional ups and downs for you. 1 minute you're in it, the next minute you're out of it. Then Sam leaves it open, you're back in it, then you're squeezing in front down the end.
Well, you know, making good shots. I see Sam hit the beak. I come out, 10-pin, okay, you know, come back and forth, and he just kept fighting. We both scratching tooth and nail because the tournament and the championship means so much.
Mike?
Well, what I want to know, Dennis, is during the week you averaged 230, In the practice games, or practice balls, it looked like everyone was striking. Then suddenly on the show, we had 20 opens in the entire field, averaged 182. What do you think happened?
There was a little carry down with the oil, and the ball would just spin. It wouldn't go nowhere.
And that was basically, it was just difficult then with that oil carrying down that you couldn't get the ball to the 1-3 pocket?
Correct. When Sammy would square up or I squared up, you saw us go through the beak. So as soon as we opened up, it was a washout. So, you know, you had that fine little line where the straight shooters would have won.
I should have been here today, huh?
Now, we do want to congratulate Sam Zurich, the Pink Panther from Long Island, New York, who won last week and came very close to making it 2 PBA titles in a row. Now I'm wondering whether you have the confidence here going into next week in Waukegan, whether you feel that you can just wind up in the TV finals again.
You never know. If they give you a shot, you can do anything.
All right, Dennis, thanks very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Mike, thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
And that's the story from Windsor, Ontario. The PBA on USA will continue next week from Waukegan in Illinois. But for now, from Mike Durbin, I'm Al Troutwick, thanking everybody here in Windsor and you at home on USA. Good night, everybody. The $110,000 Molson Bowling Challenge on USA has been brought to you in part by light beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. Buy mobile detergent gasoline for your everyday driving needs. Buy Levi's Menswear, makers of Levi's Action Slacks. And by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge.